What's going on? Had a long day. We still got to do our mathematics. Got a couple things I want to look into. Keep the study going. Because I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Try to cut down background noises. You know what I'm saying? Let me get into this one first. I want to check one more thing. Thank you, good. I just want to check this one last thing before we get into our math. So, y'all hang tight in YouTube land. Okay, I think we can deal with that. Gonna get into some serpent, cosmic serpent, snake talk. See what's going on. Again, a lot of the stuff that we deal with is probably gonna be, well, it's advanced stuff. I mean, to be honest. Um, so hopefully, if you even engaged in this, into this type of a thing, or you even into this type of a study, you got past some of the religious stigmas and hang-ups. You know what I'm saying? The snake gets the bad rap in the Bible and everything like that, or whatever. So, as students, as a studious individual, you want to DYOR, do your own research and see what the hell is going on. So let's start out with this is like a what is it, a Native American type of thing right here. This is Earth Medicine by Kenneth Meadows, revealing hidden teachings of the Native American medicine wheel. And there you go. So we're gonna start out with this. The snake polarity totem. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna read a little bit about like what the Indians got to say. European myths about the snake, and especially some religious allegories, have turned it into a creature that many find repulsive and fearful. But among Aboriginal cultures, the snake was highly regarded, not least because of its great transforming powers, as it frequently shed its skin. Among Amerindians, the snake was respected as a teacher of wisdom. Beaver people have the urge to make things permanent on the physical plane, and the ability to convert ideas into form. They also want to acquire and possess. What beavers can learn from the complementary snake is the desirability of eliminating what is not essential to spiritual progress and to material well-being. Snake can teach beaver that material possessions alone can offer little lasting satisfaction, and that it is a sharing them, not having them, that brings fulfillment. The greatest pleasures of life are those that are shared. Then the attitude is transformed from one of "that's mine" to "that's ours." Beavers will make more of their personality assets when they have acquired some of Snake's concern with probing the mysteries of life and discovered some of the deeper realities behind all outward appearances. Beautiful, beautifully written. Some good stuff. All right, I'm gonna go to this book. I think this is a Brother Panic recommendation. This is the Cosmic Serpent, DNA and the Origins of Knowledge. J.Narby. He did a lecture, I think last year. Hold on, y'all. So, what was I at, y'all? It's got down 12:38, almost 1. And this nigga's crushing Oreos. So I had to see what the hell was all that racket going on in the crib. My bad. But we're back. Alright. But yeah, Penny did a lecture, I think like last year or some shit. And he recommended it. He was dropping on this. I was like, I got to get this one. So now let's see what we can find for ourselves. This is how they start the book off. I thought this was pretty cool. I'm gonna do this right. Those who love wisdom must investigate many things. Heraclitus. Heraclitus. Those who love wisdom must investigate many things. All right, this is I think it's like a novel setup almost, like a story. You know what I mean? Like they're giving an account of things. but it's very, very interesting. It has some very interesting diagrams in here. You gotta get it yourself, man. I can't even. I'll be all day trying to really. So let's keep it moving. Anthropology. This is coming out of chapter 2, page 10 and 11. Anthropologists and shamans. The main enigma I encountered during my research on Ashanika ecology was that these extremely practical and frank people, extremely practical and frank people, living almost autonomously in the Amazonian forest, insisted that their extensive botanical knowledge came from plant-induced hallucinations. How could this be true? The enigma was all the more intriguing because the botanical knowledge of indigenous Amazonians has long astonished scientists. The chemical composition of ayahuasca is a case in point. Amazonian shamans have been preparing ayahuasca for millennia. The brew is a necessary combination of two plants, which must be boiled together for hours. The first contains a hallucinogenic substance, dimethyltryptamine, DMT, which also seems to be secreted by the human brain. But this hallucinogen has no effect when swallowed because the stomach enzyme called monoamine oxidase blocks it. The second plant, however, contains several substances that inactivate this precise stomach enzyme, allowing the hallucinogen to reach the brain. The sophistication of this recipe has prompted Richard Evans Schultes, the most renowned ethnobotanist of the 20th century. Well, goddamn, let's stop right there. If the Amazons in the motherfucking woods can hook some shit up like this, how the fuck is you the most sophisticated? I mean, how is you the what the fuck they said this motherfucker's supposed to be? How is you the most renowned ethnobotanist of the 20th century? You're not. You're not. You got a piece of paper with a gold seal on it. There's mysteries of the world that you just do not know. So another thing, don't get caught up on titles. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get it twisted. Like, you work for something, you got that or whatever, you achieved that. Cool. Put the little DR in front of your name. The little PhD if that's what you want to do. Don't get caught up in that though. There's motherfuckers in the sticks that know way more than what these motherfuckers be proclaiming to be. I just wanted to touch on that, yo. Let's get back to our studies. The sophistication of this recipe has prompted Richard Evans Schultes, the most renowned, so-called most renowned ethnobotanist of the 20th century to comment. One wonders how peoples in primitive societies, see, there you go, with no knowledge of chemistry or physiology, how could you make that statement? Apparently they do. Apparently they do. Ever hit upon a solution of the activation of an alkaloid by a monoamine oxidase inhibitor? Pure experimentation? Perhaps not. The examples are too numerous and may become even more numerous with future research. So here are people without electron microscopes to choose. Who choose among 80,000 Amazonian plant species. The leaves of a bush containing a hallucinogenic brain hormone, which they combine with a vine containing substance that inactivate an enzyme of the digestive tract, which would otherwise block the hallucinogenic effect. And they do this to modify their consciousness. It is as if they knew about the molecular properties of plants and the art of combining them. And when one asks them how they know these things, they say their knowledge comes directly from the plant, from the hallucinogenic plants. What's that? Dr. Carver? They said that nigga could talk to the plant, son. Oh, man. They tell them the answer. They don't like the answer, though. Not many anthropologists have looked into this enigma, but the failure of academics to consider this kind of mystery is not limited to the Amazon. Over the course of the 20th century, anthropologists have examined shamanic practices around the world without fully grasping them. A brief history of anthropology reveals a blind spot on its studies of shamanism. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is page 16. I kind of move around a little bit, you know. I couldn't tell you what. I guess it's still the first chapter. Page 16. In 1951, around the time Levi Strauss was transforming the schizophrenic shaman into the psychoanalyst creator of order, Mircea Eliade, I guess, Eliade, one of the foremost authorities in the history of religions, published the now classic Shamanism, archaic techniques of ecstasy. To this day, it is the only attempt at a world synthesis on the subject. Eliade, who was not a trained anthropologist, saw neither mental illness nor creation of order. Instead, he identified astonishing similarities in the practices and concepts of shamans the world over. Wherever these technicians of ecstasy operate, they specialize in a trance during which their soul is believed to leave the body and ascend to the sky or descend to the underworld. They all speak in secret language, which they learn directly from the spirits by imitation. They talk of a ladder or a vine, a rope, a spiral staircase, a twisted rope ladder that connects heaven and earth, and which they use to gain access to the world of spirits. They consider these spirits to have come from the sky and to have created life on earth. Anthropologists rarely appreciate it when library-based intellectuals use their work without muddying their books and discover connections that they had not seen. They made no exception with Eliade, rejecting his work because of its latent mysticism. They accuse him of detaching symbols from their contexts, mutilating and distorting the facts, obliterating the socio-cultural aspect of the phenomenon and locking it into a mystical dead end. Recently, it was even said that Eliade's notion of celestial flight was a potentially fascistic portrayal of third world healing. Nevertheless, despite these criticisms, Iliade understood before many anthropologists that it is useful to take people and their practices seriously and to pay attention to the detail of what they say and do. They can't hack it, man. I don't know. It's like don't sweat the technique, man. They go to those places and run up on them shamans or whatever, and then they telling them like, yo, this is what it is. And they can't wrap their Western brain around it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's continue on. What was that? All right. Okay. I guess I'm gonna see where this go because I didn't mark my starting point on this one. I just marked my end point. All right. I often ask Carlos to explain the origin of place names to me. He would invariably reply that nature itself had communicated them to the ayahuasqueros, tabaqueros, in their hallucinations. This is how nature talks, because in nature there is God, and God talks to us in our visions. When the ayahuasqueros drinks his plant brew, the spirits present themselves to him and explain everything. Listening to Carlos' stories, I gradually became familiar with some of the characters of ayahuasca, oh, I'm sorry, Ashanika mythology. For instance, he often talked of Aviri, Avireri. Yeah. It look like Arriba. You got the little slash at the top, you know what I'm saying? According to our ancient belief, he is the one of the forest. He is our God. That would be like a pan energy. He was the one who had the idea of making people appear. Carlos also referred to invisible beings called Manakari, who are found in animals, plants, mountains, streams, lakes, and certain crystals, and who are sources of knowledge. The Manakari taught us how to spin and weave cotton and how to make clothes. Before our ancestors lived naked in the forest, who else could have taught us to weave? That is how our intelligence was born, and that is how we natives of the forest know how to weave. I had not come to Kirishari to study indigenous mythology. I even considered this. I had not come to Kirishari to study indigenous mythology. I even considered the study of mythology to be a useless and reactionary pastime. What counted for me were the hectares confiscated in the name of development, and the millions of dollars in international funds that financed the operation. With my research, I was trying to demonstrate that true development consisted first in recognizing the territorial rights of indigenous people. My point of view was materialist and political rather than mystical. So, after 9 months in Kirishari, it was almost despite myself that I started reading Gerald Weiss's doctoral dissertation on Ashanika mythology entitled The Cosmology of the Campa Indians of Eastern Peru. Campa being the disparaging word used until recently to designate the Ashaninka who do not appreciate it. I discovered as I read this thesis that Carlos was not making up fanciful stories. On the contrary, he was providing me with concise elements of the main cosmological beliefs of his culture, as documented extensively by Weiss in the 1960s. According to Weiss, the Ashaninka believe in the existence of invisible spirits called Manakari, literally, those who are hidden, who can nonetheless be seen by ingesting tobacco and ayahuasca. They are also called Ashaninka, our fellows, as they are considered to be ancestors with whom one has kinship, as these Manakari are also present in plants and animals. The Ashaninka think of themselves as members of the same family as herons, otters, hummingbirds, and so on, who are all Pirani Ashnika, all our fellows long ago. Very interesting. He thought he knew, but now now he's starting to know. This is a picture I want to share. It says the human brain, the human brain. The left hemisphere is referred to as side 1 and the right side as side 2. The fissure is occupied by an anaconda. There's that serpent again. Remember we talk about merging. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we're dealing with the serpent. It's basically like a DNA strand. So now to wrap this one up, we're going to touch on what they really getting at. DNA molecule is a single long chain made up of two interwoven ribbons that are connected by the four bases. These bases can only match up in specific pairs. A with T, G with C. Another pairing of the bases is possible. Because of the arrangement of the individual atoms, A can bond only with T and G. A can only bond with T and G only with C. This means that one of the two ribbons is the back to front duplicate and the other, and that the genetic text is double. It contains a main text of one of the ribbons, which is read in a precise direction by the transcription enzymes, and a backup text, which is inverted and most often not read. I wonder if that ties in with the dormant DNA. Second ribbon plays The second ribbon plays two essential roles. It allows the repair enzymes to reconstruct the main text in case of damage. It's a backup program. And above all, it provides a mechanism for the duplication of the genetic message. It suffices to open the double helix as one might unzip a zipper in order to obtain two separate complementary ribbons that can be rebuilt into double ribbons by the duplication enzymes. As the latter can replace only a opposite a T and vice versa, and a G opposite a C and vice versa, this leads to the formation of two twin double helixes. which are identical in every aspect to the original. Twins are therefore central to life. Just as ancient myths indicate, they are associated with a serpentine form. Without this copying mechanism, the cell would never be able to duplicate itself and life would not exist. DNA is the informational molecule of life, and its very essence consists of being both single and double, like the mythical serpent. DNA and its duplication mechanisms are the same for all living creatures. The only thing that changes from one species to another is the order of the letters. This consistency goes back to the very origins of life on Earth. According to biologist Robert Pollock, I heard that name before in one of his books, the planet's surface has changed many times over, but DNA and the cellular machinery for its replication have remained constant. Schrodinger's a periodic crystal understands DNA stability. No stone, no mountain, no ocean, not even the sky above us have been stable and constant for this long. Nothing inanimate, no matter how complicated, has survived unchanged for a fraction of the time that DNA and its machinery of replication have coexist. At the beginning of its existence, some 4.5 billion years ago, planet Earth was an inhospitable place of life. As a molten lava fireball, its surface was radioactive, its water was so hot it existed only in the form of incondensable vapor, and its atmosphere, devoid of any breathable oxygen, contained poisonous gases such as cyanide and formaldehyde. Approximately 3.9 billion years ago, the Earth's surface cooled sufficiently to form a thin crust on the top of the molten magma. Strangely, life and thus DNA appeared relatively quickly thereafter. Scientists have found traces of biological activity in sedimentary rocks that are 3.85 billion years old. And fossil hunters have found actual bacterial fossils that are 3.5 billion years old. During the first 2 billion of years of life on Earth, the planet was inhabited by an anaerobic, wait, anaerobic bacteria, for which oxygen as a poison. These bacteria lived in water, and some of them learned to use the hydrogen contained in the H2O molecule while expelling the oxygen. This opened up a new and more efficient metabolic pathways. The gradual enrichment of the atmosphere with oxygen allows the appearance of a new kind of cell, capable of using oxygen and equipped with the nucleus for packing together its DNA. These nucleated cells are at least 30 times more volum vol voluminous than bacterial cells. According to biologists Lynn Margulies and Dorian Sagan, the biological transition between bacteria and nucleated cells is so sudden it cannot effectively be explained by gradual changes over time. The biological transition between bacteria and nucleated cells is so sudden it cannot effectively be explained by gradual changes over time. From that moment onward, life as we know it took shape. Nucleated cells joined together to form the first multicellular beings, such as algae. The latter also produce oxygen by photosynthesis. Atmospheric oxygen increased to about 21%. So you think about like algae, like that slime, the ooze. That's the secret of the ooze. You know what I'm saying? It's like that that's what you come from. That germ, earth germ. Like Megatron used to call the humans earth germs. Shit used to be funny as hell, yo. Nucleated cells join together to form this first multicellular being such as algae. Latter also produce oxygen by photosynthesis. Atmospheric oxygen increased to about 21% and then stabilized at this level approximately 500 million years ago. Thankfully, because if oxygen were a few percent higher, living beings would combust spontaneously, according to Margulies and Sagan. This state of affairs gives the impression of a conscious decision to maintain balance between danger and opportunity, between risk and benefit. Around 550 million years ago, life exploded into a grand variety of multicellular species, algae and more complex plants, and animals living not only in water but on land and in the air. Of all the species living at that time, not one has survived to this day. According to certain estimates, almost all of the species that have ever lived on the earth have already disappeared, and there are between 3 million and 50 million species living currently. DNA is a master of transformation. Just like the mythical serpents, the cell-based life DNA informs made the air we breathe, the landscape we see, and the mind-boggling diversity of living beings of which we are a part. In 4 billion years, it has multiplied itself into an incalculable number of species while remaining exactly the same. The DNA double helix represented as a pair of snakes. By turning the picture upside down, you can see that the molecule is completely symmetrical. Each half of the double helix can serve as a template for the synthesis of its complementary half. And then wait, oh, that's why. There you go, right there. So it's not too bad. Not too bad, buddy. Mr. Narby. Then I got man, I was just looking in this book when I was deciding if I was gonna record tonight. And I found this. This is out of the Art and Symbols of the Occult. It got some stuff in there, but it's mainly about focusing on art, like as art pieces. But it drops some shit though. You know, it give you an explanation of the piece, and it go into everything. But it's like one of those it's like a coffee table style book. But it's a coffee table style book, but it's occult shit in it. So, you know, you ain't gonna see it at just anybody's crib. But I found this shit. Holy fire. Holy fire. See that artwork? Okay. And what's crazy is the homie M.A.Pinkham, he used that shit for his book cover. And I just found the shit today. Just rambling, going through one of my books. I was looking for some Serpent, but the Native Americans covered us on that one. But let's shit. We might as well read what he got to say about the picture, the goddamn picture, before we even get into the goddamn book. Cause I just found this shit just now. I mean, right before. The Holy Fire is a painting by Alex Gray. This contemporary painter is the heir to the symbolist tradition. His work points to an idea, but one, unlike that of the symbolists, unencumbered by repressed unconscious elements. His painting makes the human figure central, as does Blake's, and then grounds it with the precision of medical drawing to create studies in spiritual anatomy. The Holy Fire triptych depicts three stages: the seeker, penetrated by the Spirit, his self-annihilation and union with the Absolute, and his return as an enlightened being to the world. The first stage shown here wrenchingly portrays the consciousness of separateness and the impact of the divine on the frame of the human personality. Nigga's on fire. Yeah, that's pretty dope. So shoot, I need to see what the other two damn pictures is. Alex Gray. Go look them up, buddy. Just because I want to know what they look like. Just I want to see how he depicts the other stages. So Alex Gray. I'm gonna put Holy Fire so I remember my reference. My nails are gross. Cut them shits. Alright. Okay, we done with this one. Just keep it going. Return of the Serpents of Wisdom. This is by M.A.Pinkham. I've been waiting to get my hands on this one. The serpent is the most ancient and primordial symbol in human consciousness. Alright. So while they got you running from the snake is the bad guy. Always got to get a bad rap, yo. Always got to get a bad rap. They come off, Mark coming off the gates telling you, yo, this is where it's at. The serpent is the most ancient and primordial symbol in human consciousness. Mythologies throughout the world abound with stories about snakes and their relations with humans. In Genesis, the serpent tempted Eve to taste the fruit from the tree of life, from the tree of knowledge, driving her and Adam forever out to paradise. Interestingly, Gnostic Christians held a different viewpoint of the serpent. The Gnostics believed in direct contact with the divine without need for an intercessory. Right. There you go. Thus, they were not particularly popular with the Church of Rome. To the Gnostics, the serpent was a hero, not a villain. By persuading Eve to partake of the fruit of knowledge, the serpent led mankind to the path of spiritual autonomy. This requires man to leave paradise, where all his or her needs are met, but at the cost of subservience and unconsciousness. The quest for understanding that the serpent of Eden symbolically represents is attained by leaving the blessed ignorance of unconsciousness for the hard-won fruit of increased awareness. This imagery has vast repercussions for us in the modern world. As a psychotherapist working with others to forge a path through their own unconsciousness, I have often witnessed powerful serpent imagery in the dreams and hypnotic states of my clients. I'm reminded as I write this of a client who recently went through a Kundalini experience. The Kundalini, for those who are not familiar with the term, refers to a kind of magnetic energy coiled up at the base of the spine. This subtle field of energy is represented in Hinduism as a serpent. The serpent is feminine and sometimes referred to as Kundalini Shakti. According to the ancient yogis, feminine power ascends upward through the Sushumna, a subtle etheric pathway into the brain. As she enters the brain, she moves upward to the crown chakra, there to meet Shiva, Lord of the universe. The merging of the electric Shiva and the magnetic Shakti energies rapidly expands the awareness of the yogi, male, or yogini, female. This cosmic merging of the male and female energies of an individual is called the sacred marriage, a potent symbol used in alchemy. Yes, he is all over it. He is all over it. He's all over it. I can't give him all the juice though. Get your own goddamn books. Feel me? We'll get you in the game though. We'll get you in the game. Get you, you know. All right, this is page 53, Lake of the Serpents. Another mythical mountain community of legend in the Pamir Mountains, Pamir Mountains range is commonly referred to in many Asian texts as the Lake of the Nagas. Yeah, niggas. The Lake of the Dragons or the Lake of the Serpents, surrounded by majestic snow-capped peaks, the Lake of the Serpents is often referred to in the text as the Garden of Eden, and one of the original homes of the Asian serpents of wisdom. Throughout the present cycle, immortal sages have periodically descended down the precipitous mountain slopes contiguous to this azure lake in the clouds in order to disseminate their yogic wisdom among developing humankind. Some of their timeless wisdom, for example, became the foundation of Agni Yoga or Fire Yoga, which, according to its famous Russian proponent, Nicholas Roerich, was originally disseminated by, they messed up in the book. They didn't put a space. They didn't put a space in this joint. Disseminated by the serpents in the valley of the Brahmaputra. Yeah, Brahmaputra. Located directly below the jewel-like Lake of the Nagas. So this is actual places. Cities of the immortal serpents of wisdom, Shambhala. Yeah, then they go into Shambhala. This book got some. He got some shit in here. Some research. Ancient Incas. Yeah, he going through it. He going through it heavily too. Shit. What was I going with? Alright, let's holler at your boys. Chapter 8, Quetzalcoatl's and Kukulcans of Mesoamerica. I was just looking at the picture for a second, y'all. The descendants of the first serpents of wisdom in Mesoamerica and the administrators of the Middle American dragon culture they founded were the Quetzalcoatls and the Kukulcans. Distinguished titles which meant feathered or plumed serpents. Okay. And the Nahuatl and Mayan vernaculars, respectively. These plumed serpents served in the role of priests, kings, spiritual teachers, and culture bearers to the Middle American people. They introduced and taught the language, sacred calendar, theology, and many of the practical arts. They were also responsible for designing and overseeing the construction of many of the pyramids and temples, which eventually dotted the Mesoamerican landscape. So the plum serpents was putting in work. Oh shit, they got the Olmec serpent people. With the serpent slash jaguar, the theme of their jungle civilization, the Olmecs evolved into a quintessential dragon culture. All their art, architecture, rituals, calendars, and ceremonial costumes in some way reflected the influence of their androgynous dragon deity. They were truly a Mesoamerican serpent people. The Olmecs were eventually immortalized as a serpent people by their ancient artists. Images recovered from certain Olmec excavations represent these serpent people as having snake-like heads, serpentine facial feathers, or dragon-like bodies. A large deposit of snake-headed men, possibly depicting the secret conclave of the Olmec Quetzalcoatls, was recently recovered among the ruins at La Venta, while another serpentine culture, also found at the same site, depicts a shaman wearing a serpent embellishment headdress and sitting in the posture of a upraised rattlesnake. Perhaps more excavative than these images are the colossal human heads with flat serpent-like facial features. And they the classic joints. The classic Olmec. They got the classic Olmec joints, and then they got the L joints down here. They're supposed to be like the snakehead people and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, gotta get you some books, buddy, so you can see it. Oh yeah, I wanted to read this one. Chapter 16. Kind of skip around, give y'all a little taste of this thing. Let's see what else is going on with the serpents. Alexandria, city of the serpent sun. Well, damn. Beginning of the 4th century BC, a port city on the Mediterranean coast of Egypt sent out a call to the serpents of wisdom throughout the world to come and share their mystery teachings in an atmosphere of familiar love and acceptance. This burgeoning city on the light was Alexandria, and city of the serpent sun. Its open invitation triggered a mass migration of spiritual teachers to North Africa and helped establish Alexandria as a worldwide headquarters for the Serpents of Wisdom. Alright, so that's where they was getting it in. The Serpent Son, the catalyst whose vision of a one world king had originally inspired the creation of Alexandria, was Alexander the Great, the port city's founding father. At his death, this illustrious Macedonian patriarch, who was also known as the Serpent Son, was interred within a golden sarcophagus near the center of the city and daily remembered by its adoring citizens. Alexander's identity as the Serpent Son was revealed to him early in his military career when young general traveled to the Oracle of Ammon in Egypt, Ammon, located at the oasis of Siwa deep within the Egyptian desert. The renowned oracle was second only to Delphi in the authority of its pronouncements and had been patronized in the past by such famous Greek heroes as Hercules. Oh man, if you know your mythology, then you know there's a lot of mixed up things going on with some of this. According to the famous reconstruction of the event by the historian Ptolemy, Alexander and his men were guided through the Egyptian desert to the remote oracle by talking serpents, probably serpent initiates of Jehudi. Upon arriving at sea, while Alexander was ushered by the presiding priest into the inner chambers of the temple in the presence of their god Ammon, a deity which was both the transcendental spirit and manifest serpent god. After being seated in a specially prepared throne, Alexander watched in amazement as the oracular priest's body began to shake, and a deep, groaning voice issued from his trembling lips. "Welcome, my dearly beloved son," spoke Ammon. "You have a special mission ahead of you. You will rule a great kingdom on earth, my kingdom." Following the startling announcement, Ammon proceeded to instruct Alexander in the direction he should lead his army. And the specific mantric incantations and the ritual he should perform in order to stabilize and amalgamate the various parts of his huge empire. So that's a little backstory on that. Take the good, leave the bad. Oh, you got your boy, Baphomet. Represents the androgynous primordial dragon and creator of the Baphomet represents the androgynous primal dragon and creator of the cosmos, that is, the union of the polarity. This is why it unites heaven and earth by having one hand up and another down, and also why it features both a male phallus and female breast. As the primordial dragon, it is an embodiment of the serpent power, the alchemical force, and the kundalini. As such, it destroys all things that keep a seeker from knowing his or her divine nature, a function evinced by its forbidden dark black color. Its association with alchemy is plainly evident. The words solve and coagula. So its forearms are the names of the two important stages in the alchemical process. There you go. It's the guy you're afraid of. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just keep it going. And of course, they go right in the Toph and the Emerald tablets on the next page. Let's get some of that too. Emerald tablets, Hermes. All right, let's keep it going. Okay. The serpent fire as the elixir of immortality. When produced in the form of a liquid, the synthesized serpent fire was referred to as the elixir of immortality and consumed daily by spiritually inclined alchemists. That makes sense because if we just decoded that, you know, the serpent is also a symbol for DNA, and it just said all these scientists said that nothing has been more consistent in the universe than our DNA. So that ties in with immortality. See, you gotta, you know, you gotta read between the lines. When people, I'm sorry, refer to. All right, I'm gonna just hit it again. When produced in the form of a liquid, the synthesized serpent fire was referred to as the elixir of immortality and consumed daily by spiritually inclined alchemists seeking to accelerate their own evolution and become a living god or goddess. This androgynous elixir had the power to facilitate the reunion of the polarity and promote the awakening of the inner kundalini. chapter 21. Oh, this looks dope. Hold up. It's in the next section. Becoming a serpent of wisdom. The return of the serpents of wisdom. Oh, I might have to read the return. I might have to hit y'all with that. All right, page 304. The return of the serpents of wisdom. When the fifth world finally gets into high gear, the serpents of wisdom will once again populate the earth in prodigious numbers as they did prodigious numbers as they did during the early days of the motherlands. While functioning within their immortal dragon bodies and immutable physical sheets, these androgynous serpents of the new age will express a persona which is harmonious, balance of both masculine and feminine characteristics, and reflects the inner androgynous spirit they are fully identified with. Such beings will be fully established in the heart chakra, the meeting point of the male and female principles, and the dwelling place of Christ consciousness. Within their awakened hearts, the affirmations of I am that, I am God, I am Goddess, all that is, will continually resound. As spirit fully incarnate, let's catch this. As spirit fully incarnate in physical form, they will have full command over the serpent power and the supernatural abilities it bestows. They will possess the capacity of living hundreds of thousands of years, of materializing objects out of thin air, of communicating directly with higher dimensional realms, and of traveling to the farthest reaches of the universe within a blink of an eye. Oh, shit. Alright. Becoming a serpent of wisdom. Now is the time. Chapter 21. Throughout the preceding pages of this text, many ancient forms of spiritual practice for uniting the polarity, awakening the inspired serpent, and purifying and fully utilizing the immortal dragon body with all its wisdom and power have been introduced. A history reveals to us these practices have been consistently disseminated around the globe by the serpents of wisdom to enlighten, disseminated around the globe by the serpents of wisdom to enlighten humanity. Such practices are now becoming increasingly popular as the current serpent cycle completes its destruction transformation phase, and the polarity within the earth as well as within our own bodies can more easily unite than at any other time. Should we decide to participate in the current trend towards planetary transformation, each one of us has a unique opportunity to take a huge evolutionary step to become a serpent of wisdom. That's it right there, buddy. Should we decide to participate in current trend towards planetary transformation, each one of us has a unique opportunity to take a huge evolutionary step to becoming a serpent of wisdom. Disciplines to unite the polarity and awaken the serpent fire. Many of the spiritual practices mentioned within the following text for becoming serpents of wisdom are described in detail in the following pages. To initiate a transformational regimen, a seeker can adopt those yoga practices which are best suited for his or her lifestyle and temperament. Did you catch that? To initiate a transformational regimen, a seeker can adopt those yogic practices. So that means meditation, visualization. You can employ the regimen. But what he did say was which are best suited to his or her lifestyle and temperament. Okay? Do it your way. Do it your way. And here's the secret. It ain't gonna work if you don't. You'll get some results, but it's always gonna come down to you. You the key. For example, a seeker possessing a loving temperament but not especially drawn to a disciplined lifestyle may be attuned to the spiritual rites of the bhakti path, the path of love. By contrast, an aspirant with a disciplined temperament may be attracted to those practices which require punctual regularity for their success, such as a yoga disciplines of asana, pranayama, and meditation. Boom. You know what you need. You know what you need. Stop playing with yourself and go for yours. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Alright, let's see. Part 3, the serpent destroys the universe. Holy shit. The twins reunite as the primal serpent. Page 350. The destruction phase of the universe commences when the twin suns reunite as the primal serpent. At the end of time, the twin suns reunite as their father, mother, the primal or fire serpent. The universe is thereby thrown out of balance and full-scale destruction results. During the destruction phase, the primal serpent in the form of a fire serpent completely annihilates the universe and reverts all material form back to pure life force or cosmic fire. When the twins reunite, the androgynous primal serpent is resynthesized and its fiery power of destruction is activated. In the blink of an eye, the primal serpent in the form of a colossal fire serpent consumes all life in its path and reverses all material forms back to pure life force or cosmic fire, the original form of the first serpent. The Hindus refer to this final consumption phase as flames belched forth from the fangs of Shisha, which incinerate all material forms in the universe. The ancient Egyptians of Heliopolis alluded to the universal dissolution as the end of time, when the world will revert to the primary state of chaos. In a tomb, the creator dragon will once again become a serpent, pure life force. All right. Let me hit y'all with one more, because the brother got some sections in here. His bibliography is his bibliography is pretty serious. He did his research. He did some research. Shit, he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and a quarter. He got nearly 5 pages of bibliography and footnotes just for this book alone. Yeah, you can probably literally copy his bibliography and find some more gems. You know, the research never stops. You even want to take, because he's the author interpreting all of this. You can go back and get some of this shit too, and dig even deeper, or you can be like Alice and go deeper down the rabbit hole. You know, on your own. On your own. Alright, let's wrap this up. Destructive phases awaken. Destructive phases awaken the spiritual kundalini and produce the serpents of wisdom. Gotta go through hellfire, son. Gotta go through it. During Earth's destructive phase, the twins also unite within the human body and awaken the androgynous fire serpent or spiritual kundalini at the base of the spine. Once awakened, the spiritual kundalini destroys all limitations and eventually makes a person immortal. During a terrestrial destructive phase, the male and female principles in their vehicles, the Ida and Pingala nadis, the serpent twins, reunite at the base of the human spine as the spiritual kundalini. The spiritual kundalini is a higher frequency of life force than the normal, active, mundane kundalini. Once the spiritual kundalini is awakened within a person, it rises up to the spine, to the back of the head, eventually merges with the crown chakra. See the spirit of the body along the way. This high frequency fire serpent fully activates all the chakras, destroys limitations, all levels of the person's being, and finally trains him or her into a god or goddess. When the snake, the kundalini, reunites, the reascent of the serpent up in the cosmic tree occurs in the human body as the spiritual kundalini's ascent up the spine or yogic tree of life. The union of the the union of the eagle and serpent as a winged or feather serpent when occurs as the kundalini serpent reaches the two-lobed or two-winged brain and merges with the spirit of the crown chakra. That's basically your caduceus with the wings with the fire symbol. Those evolved masters who complete the union of the serpent and the eagle within their own bodies become dragons, plum serpents, and serpents of wisdom. Such accomplished masters can elect to lead the physical world and travel with their dragon bodies to the upper dimensions of the universe, the paradise realms of the immortals, and remain on earth as teachers. Those who remain on earth are spiritually awake and fully established in the consciousness of unconditional love, which exists within the heart. It's all in your heart, baby. You know what I'm saying? Hit y'all with the last serpent. Oh, oh, it's on this one. I'm thinking it's on that one. There you go. Eating his tail, beginning and the end, immortal, regeneration. So there you have it, guys and gals. Don't be afraid of snakes. They're your friend. They're your friend. Well, I guess it's time for the old jar. Get ready and see what's going on. So, um, yeah, we'll keep it moving. Keep the studies alive. We'll hit you up. 1.